Dear students, good evening. Welcome to La Excellence IAS. Let us have editorial discussion for today, that is 3rd November 2022. The first article, Seeds of Hope. You know that Genetic Engineering Approval Committee has given approval for the cultivation of Dara mustard hybrid 11, which is called as DMH11. What is this Genetic Engineering Approval Committee? It is an agency under Ministry of Environment and Forests. It is the nodal agency to approve the genetically modified crops to be cultivated in India. Previously, if you remember, the BT brinjal permission was given in 2009. In 2017 itself, the same GM mustard was also given permission. But due to popular protest, these were discontinued. Today, the government has clearly stated that it is going to go ahead with a genetically modified mustard for cultivation. What is this genetical modification occurred in this mustard? One is two soil bacterium, Barnase and Baster system it is called as. These are introduced into this mustard, and after that these are pollinated to create hybrid mustards which will be sent ultimately to cultivation. Because of this, the yield is expected to grow by 28%. Obviously, what are the two major imported products for India? One is pulses, the other one is oil seeds. If mustard production increases, automatically it will decrease import dependency of India on oil. Next part of this is certain challenges exist for genetically modified crops. So what is their impact on the health? It is not been proven. Always we see this as a fight between environment and also economy. So in the case of environment, so the genetically modified crops are seen as a threat to biodiversity. So it is involvement of the science with the nature. When we go to the economy, obviously increased production, these have to substantiate or support or give for food security. So the food security, increased incomes to the farmers, these are assured through these crops. Environment wise, biodiversity is expected to be lost. On the other technical front, you know, CRISPR technology has become very successful today. These, that is Barney's Baster system, it was a world technology which is developed by Delhi University. So the outdated technology we are using, that is one complaint over here. Next is, as GM mustard crops, the self-pollinating crops, the bees will not be attracted to these crops. Probably it will have a lot of genetic, lot of environmental impact. And finally understand one thing, the popular mood towards the genetically modified crops goes against it. Our environmentalists, their interests or their particular agitation can pull this back or not, we have to observe. So what is the way forward we have to observe clearly? The scientific consent has to be the only way forward towards taking this technology to the farmers. So the scientific consent and informed decision making has to exist in the cultivation of genetically modified crops. That is the point you need to remember. The most dangerous moment since 1962. So last week we saw an article about Cuban missile crisis. I am worried that the present ongoing Russian and Ukraine war is compared to Cuban missile crisis, because the Cuban missile crisis has brought USA and Russia close to the war, nuclear war. What happened is, then the USSR has placed missiles, nuclear missiles in Cuba. You know, Cuba was ruled by a dictator, Batista, and he was overthrown by Che Guevara and Fidel Castro. Then Bay of Pigs revolt or invasion has come up. So the leftist government established by Fidel Castro to overthrow that, the United States of America supported Bay of Pigs invasion have happened. So after that, for the security, the USSR has placed the missiles. Obviously, when the missiles are placed in the underbelly of the United States of America, which can hit the Florida coast, which is just 140 kilometers away, has made the United States to worry. And then US, to counter this, naval blockade has imposed. And the situation went close to the war. In this case, many of the military generals of USA wanted to go for a nuclear war with USSR, but Mr. Kennedy, who was the president then, opened the back end channels with his own brother, and Nikita Khrushchev, who was the president of USSR, responded positively for that. Because of their magnanimity, the war was averted then. Today, if you observe, the Russia, it is also claiming the expansion of NATO and bringing NATO close to its borders as creating a security threat to it. As like America worried about nuclear missile crisis. The second part is the Russia and Ukraine war has already started. It is going through a dangerous spiral without an end to it. If you observe United States of America, so it is seeing this as an opportunity to weaken Russia and supporting the Ukraine in the form of arms. And second, Russia is trying to change the power equation in Europe. In all these circumstances, the countries are unable to see that the untoward consequences of this war is nuclear war is in the sight, because there is a talk of dirty bomb recently and there is talk of limited nuclear attack, and Mr. Putin has warned that he has got many of the weapons in his kitty. So this kind of nuclear posturing is worrisome to the world. So the leaders have to come out of their silos, and how the nuclear missile crisis, Cuban missile crisis was averted shall send a message to the existing leaders. That is the essence of this article. Gandhian, SEWA founder and women's empowerment activist Elaben Bhatt dies. So this SEWA, remember, is very important for us to understand. Whenever we study about self-help group movement, the SEWA model, which has been started across the world, most of the developing countries, stands as an example. So the SEWA model, self-help group movement, is an important movement towards the women empowerment. And second, she is a recipient of Padma Bhushan, Raman Megasase, Indira Gandhi Peace Prize. She was also a chancellor of Gandhi Gujarat Vidyapeeth. Why this is also spread as Gandhi Vidyapeeth? It was founded by Mahatma Gandhi and chairperson of Sabarmati Ashram. And then there is a group to spread the peace across the world that is called Elders. This group was started by Nelson Mandela. She is also a member of that particular group called Elders to spread the peace. So she is such a decorated woman. So we are talking about her. A chance to expand the world's biosphere footprint. So global network of biosphere reserves. Remember this, World Network of Biosphere Reserves. So this is being promoted by UNESCO. In India, we have 12 biosphere reserves. India has potential for many other biosphere reserves. And South Asia has such a diversity, and biodiversity spheres can be spread in this part of the world. In this scenario, the Nepal, Bhutan, which did not have biosphere reserves, also have to apply for that. So lack of know-how of applying for these things are putting us at a disadvantage, especially South Asian countries at disadvantage, that is being discussed over here. For the fact's sake, remember that Blue Mountains of Nilgiri are the first biosphere reserves in India. In South Asia, Hurulu Biosphere Reserve in Sri Lanka is the first recognized biosphere reserve. So just remember these particular factual points. Can convicted legislators be disqualified from assembly? So here we need to understand Section 8 of the Representation of Peoples Act. In this, there are two parts. In one part, certain crimes are specifically listed. Here, no minimal conviction is necessary. Even penalty was imposed, and zero imprisonment. Then also they will be disqualified for 6 years. Let's take if they are been given imprisonment for 1 year, 1 year plus 6 years. So the no minimum conviction or imprisonment is required in these certain crimes. What are these crimes? Section 153A, which is about promoting enmity between the groups, bribery, corruption, and rape and cruelty to women, Customs Act, practice of sati or involvement with the terrorism, insult to national flag and national anthem, UAPA, Customs Act. Under this, if any person is been convicted, then he will be disqualified for 6 years. No minimum period of conviction is necessary. And then if the imprisonment is given for certain period of time, then that certain period of time plus 6 years they are disqualified. In other crimes other than listed over here, in this case, a minimum conviction of 2 years is necessary. So if minimum conviction of 2 years exists, then they will be disqualified for the period of conviction plus 6 years. So the condition you need to observe, differentiating factor you need to observe is minimum conviction do not exist in certain crimes. The minimum conviction imprisonment exists for certain other crimes. That is the differentiation factor which you need to see. So these are the articles for today. Thank you very much.